Welcome back. I am Anna Davis and this is a brand new series of onFARM. It's really good to be back. I've genuinely missed recording these episodes. We've got lots coming up for you in coming weeks. We will celebrate 100 years of livestock health as the Morden Research Institute celebrates its centenary. We will have a special focus on farm co-ops and how the umbrella cooperative group SAOS are helping in the fight against climate change, and lots more besides. But our first two episodes of this series are both looking at organic production. Next week, we are with the farmer going through the process of switching from conventional to certified organic. That's with SOPA, the Scottish Organic Producers Association. Today, though, we thought we'd start with a new series by revisiting some old friends. When we last took a trip to Norvite's production plant near Inverurie on what was only our second ever episode of onFARM, it was to find out about how they were using locally sourced oilseed rape to make sustainable animal feed, NeoLac. NeoLac helps to cut imports of controversial things like palm oil and soya that risk doing harm to the rainforests and important habitats.
This is the Neo Pro, which is the meal straight off the press. We've taken the seed, we've crushed it, and we get 2/3 of this and 1/3 of oil.
This is almost slaty and flaky, huge flakes of meal with an almost leathery texture, but crumbly at the same time.
The cold pressing process produces a flake, the meal in a flake form. That's 30% protein, 12 to 14% oil. Mm-hmm. So whilst it doesn't look oily, the oil is still, encapsulated within the matrix of the meal.
Oh, I see. Yes, it does look very dry and quite crumbly.
Looks quite dry, but when you analyse it, it's actually quite oily. It's worth more nutritionally because it's got that extra energy content. Obviously, the rape meal is the Neopro is produced very, very locally.
So the NeoLac is we've talked about how it's so crucial for sustainability as well as for very many other reasons. And you work with local farmers who are all close by to produce that rapeseed for you, oilseed rape.
Yeah.
The alternative to rapeseed meal is soybean meal, which we've discussed. That was previously coming from where exactly?
Soya is either from North or South America. You can also buy maize gluten meal, usually from North America. Sunflower extract, which comes from Europe or Eastern Europe. Palm kernel, which comes from Indonesia or Malaysia.
Gosh, yeah.
So look on the ingredient list from companies that are making feeds where they're located near ports, and they'll tend to use a basket of imported products from all over the place.
But contrast that with the 15-mile radius that all of your rapeseed comes from.
It's still one of our most listened to episodes ever, and it's fascinating if you haven't heard it, so just go all the way back to the beginning of your podcast feed to hear it again. What we didn't cover at the time is that the Norvite production plant at Old Meldrum is also capable of producing food for human consumption. And now they are at the centre of a trial to grow and cold press high-grade organic rapeseed oil for sale to restaurants and wholesalers. Conventional wisdom has it that it's almost impossible to grow oilseed rape organically. So it's quite a challenge they've set themselves. But we can head to Norvite now with onFARM's producer Dave Howard, who is the reporter asking the questions.
So this is onFARM's second visit to the Norvite headquarters here at Old Meldrum in Aberdeenshire. The first time we came here, Anna was presenting that one. It was one of the very first episodes we recorded, so it's good to be back here with Ed Smith. Ed, hello.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good. We are good. And actually, I'm remembering all the kind of sights and smells from our first trip up here. It's great to be back. And actually, Ed, a lot's happened since we came to see you then. We came to see you then because we wanted to talk to you about NeoLac, the product that we're standing right next to here, your dairy cattle feed that is made largely from locally sourced oilseed rape. Since then, you've been very busy.
Well, we've been active on a few fronts. Right back in 2015 when we first built the crushing plant here, partly because we saw the commercial opportunity and partly because I have another role as chairman of the Scottish Organic Producers Association. We thought we'd really like to investigate the possibility of having an organic oilseed rape product. Initially looking at the animal feed market because it seemed wrong, to be honest, that we were having to purchase soya from China and India to use in organic pig and poultry feed, and also organic oil, which it has a great value in those feeds as well, was very, very difficult to get hold of altogether. So we started talking to some local growers. I suppose a couple of years passed without a lot happening, to be honest. But eventually we approached SRUC and spoke to their specialist in oilseed rape about the potential of the project. And after pretty much every agronomist had told us by this stage that it wasn't possible because of all the pest problems, he put us in touch with a contact of his in Sweden, and eventually we got a trip organised in early 2019, around about February. And this guy was fantastic and got us onto 4 or 5 different farms, where we discovered that not only are they successfully growing oilseed rape organically and have done for a number of years, but it comprised about 12% of the entire oilseed rape area in the country. So looking at the latitude of Sweden, and in the area of Sweden we were in, was roughly about level with Edinburgh. We thought that being further north would probably be even more of an advantage in terms of pest pressure. So the group of farmers and the agronomist that we took on that trip got a plan together to grow. Initially we were going to only do winter crops, and we got 5 farms involved and managed to get some crops in the ground that August. And so we're actually lucky enough to get some grant funding from Scottish Government to pay for the facilitation of the project. We've got quite a lot of really, really good data. We used different establishment systems. There was different types of agronomy, different varieties, quite a wide range of variables that we've looked at. We've done some knowledge transfer sessions with open meetings, latterly on Zoom. But I think as well as the organic market, the organic growers, there's been quite a bit of interest from conventional growers as well, because I know certainly in England it's becoming a very difficult crop to grow without chemicals. And obviously in organic you can't use any at all. So we're at the point now where we've had the winter crops already harvested. I would say very successful, averaging 1.1 tonnes per acre.
How would that compare with a conventional crop?
Very respectably, I would say. Most conventional growers might be looking for a tonne to a tonne and a half an acre in a good year. Certainly looking at the gross margins, which have been examined a little bit, need to do a bit more work on those, but it was looking pretty nice.
Ed's looking to Murray Cooper, who's also with us for a little bit of backup as he remembers some of this. Murray, you're one of the farmers involved in this trial, is that right?
Yes, as Ed said, projects, well, in the background it's kind of been bumbling away since probably 2015, if not earlier. Ourselves have been dabbling in it since 2016.
And in fact, I think you're the only farmer so far who has now done 2 seasons worth of organic oilseed rape, is that right?
Yeah, I harvested a crop in 2019 and we'll have another crop to harvest this year, so it's hopefully the second successful harvest.
Then actually you turned up today with a sample which you're clutching in your hand. Just talk us through that.
I've a sample of 3 varieties that we've been growing this year. It's a spring crop I've grown with a variety called Lumen, a variety called Semilla, and a variety called Miracle.
The one nearest to me is quite a lot fatter, I can see, in the pods. Is that just because it's grown further?
The Lumen, it has short, fat pods. It looked the best from emergence right through till flowering. I would have been happier with more seeds per pod. Smilla, it was probably the slowest in emerging, but yet it's probably the closest to harvest now. Great long pods, multiple branches, and we'll wait to see what comes off the combine on that one. And last of all, the Miracle. It's probably been the poorest looking one right from the start, but yet
it seems to have the most pods on it
most pods,
of them all, doesn't it? Yeah, by far.
It's actually the strongest plant, albeit a bit of stem canker at the base of it there. So we're hopeful.
And is the reason that you're growing 3 different types because this is a trial? You're trying to figure out which is the best type to grow organically in the way that you are?
Yeah, we're trying to find varieties that will work, establish their oil potential organically. From what we did learn in Sweden was that organic stuff did tend to be slightly higher in oil and nutrient value, so trying to establish that for ourselves in the background as well.
What are the signs of a healthy or an unhealthy crop here?
Healthy, obviously, there's no crop damage, but we've had seed weevil this year. It's leaving a lot of punctures in the pods. Quite a few of the seed in the pod won't reach maturity. It'll die off before it's ripe. You get complete pod fungi kind of attacking the pods as well. There's a few issues there.
And because you're growing a spring crop, have you had any of the sort of earlier pest problems that perhaps the winter crop growers didn't have? I
think it's been slightly, because it's so fast growing, there's not a lot holds the spring crop back. Pigeons was quite hard on it earlier on. There was pollen beetle there, but there's no damage. There's no sign on the stems damage from pollen beetle, so we've dodged that one.
What can you do to help protect the crop that is still organic?
Getting nutrition right, healthy soil leads to healthy crop. Lime is meant to be a good desiccant. If you get something coming in, give it a blast in a lime, and that's almost a natural disinfectant. So
Murray was the only adopter of a chameleon sowing system that he bought last year. This was something that we saw when we were over in Sweden. They're manufactured over there. Yeah. Basically, you can sow the plants in rows, and the same machine can hoe in between the rows. How many times did you hoe it, or did you get the chance to hoe it this time?
I've been through the spring crop 3 times, and it's pretty clean in the bottom where there's good crop cover. End rigs is not so clean. Again, to try and perfect the system, so it's whether we leave end rigs unsown or in grass, so we concentrate on the straight bits of the field to maximise yield and reduce losses.
If you speak to arable farmers around Scotland, maybe conventional arable farmers, the received wisdom is that growing oilseed rape organically is incredibly hard. Some people will tell you it's impossible. Murray, you're standing here with 3 sheaves in your hand that kind of proves that it's not impossible, but you must have faced some challenges getting this out the ground.
Yeah, it's not impossible. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's attention to detail, I think, is very important. A lot of luck from the gods above.
What was it that first interested you as a farmer and grower in getting involved in this organic oilseed rape trial? Because it strikes me as quite a gamble. Yeah,
partly down to the finding out that my soya was coming from China. There's been a few reliabilities of source issues I've heard of in the past, and think that it's madness in this day and age.